A very good evening to all of you, and first of all, a very warm welcome to the 54th batch of IIM Calcutta. I would like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, our director, Professor Saibal Chattopadhyay, and our Dean of Academics, Professor Biju Paul Abraham, on the stage, please. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all the professors and members of the board seated here. Now I would request our director, Professor Saibal Chattopadhyay, to please introduce our chief guest and deliver the welcome address.
Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, Managing Director and CEO of the Federal Bank Limited, and our chief guest today. Professor Manish Thakur is not here, but he will come. He is the chairperson of the postgraduate program. Professor Biju Paul Abraham, Dean Academics. Professor Uttam Sarkar, Dean NIER. Mr. Praveen Negala, President of Students' Union Council. My other faculty colleagues, the first year students of the PGDM batch, other students, faculty, colleagues, officers and staff of the institute. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to this welcome function for the incoming students of the first year 2017, 54th batch of the PGDM program. And I should also take this opportunity to welcome at this stage the fellow program students, first year fellow students in the 2017. We are indeed very fortunate to have Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, the Managing Director and CEO of Federal Bank, as our chief guest. On behalf of the Institute, I welcome him and wish to sincerely thank him for accepting our invitation to speak before us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Srinivasan does not need any introduction. However, it's my honor and duty to say a few words about him and his work on this occasion. Mr. Srinivasan, a charismatic leader who always exudes youthful energy, believes that an organization, however successful, is only as strong as its ability to foresee the challenges in the future and act accordingly. Naturally, when he took charge as the MD and CEO of Federal Bank on September 2010, he understood the importance of keeping pace with the changing times for the bank to remain relevant in today's digitally empowered India. An alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, and the Regional Engineering College, Tiruchirappalli, Mr. Srinivasan completed a leadership development program from the London Business School before he found his true calling in the world of banking. Prior to joining Federal Bank, he had worked with leading multinational banks in India and overseas across Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia. He had also served on the Global Executive Forum, the top 100 executives of Standard Chartered Bank from 2004 to 2010 before joining the Federal Bank. Under the stewardship of Mr. Srinivasan, Federal Bank has been aggressively pursuing quality growth, and today the bank is over a $3 billion US dollar company in terms of market capital. The bank has consistently given commendable returns to its investors over the years. And it's a wonderful coincidence, as he was telling me today, that his bank has the highest value as on today when he is back here to his alma mater. So we must Mr. Srinivasan is responsible for the crucial and fundamental shifts in the bank through his various initiatives, including developing an inherent capability within the bank to reinvent and implement processes, especially the customer critical ones, by initiating the total quality management journey of the bank, focusing on underwriting quality at every stage, right from credit selection and incubating the human resource potential of the bank. Having implemented various path-breaking initiatives, Mr. Srinivasan played a major role in kickstarting the digital journey of Federal Bank and launched the first of its kind Open It Yourself account opening app, Fed Book Selfie. Under his leadership, the bank has seen that dramatic growth in risky credit for the last 4 or 5 years and is now better placed than many of its peers. He strengthened the bank's NRI portfolio with a focused thrust on overseas business expansion. Presently, Federal Bank clearly dominates in terms of remittances from across the world, as around 15% of all the overseas remittances to India come through the bank. A speaker of stature in banking circles, media as well as the country, Mr. Srinivasan holds many prominent positions in the industry, including the chairmanship of IBA Committee on Member Private Sector Banks. He is also an honorary fellow and governing council member of Indian Institute of Banking and Finance. With both foresight and fortitude, Mr. Srinivasan has led Federal Bank to new horizons of growth and success, placing the bank prominently on the national banking map itself. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Managing Director and CEO of the Federal Bank Limited, Sri Shyam Srinivasan, with a round of applause. Once again, thank you, sir, for accepting our request, despite I know how busy you are. Now for the students, on behalf of the Institute and on my own behalf, I extend to you all a very warm welcome to your new home and my heartiest congratulations to all of you. All my best wishes will always sail with you as you all embark on this new journey of your life. It's going to be a very high-speed journey ahead. Your entry into IIMC certainly deserves a pat on your back. Most of you who have made it to the portals of this great institution have done so after a great struggle. To get admission into an institution like IIMC is no mean achievement. After all, you have been selected through a very rigorous process beginning with the common admission test. I congratulate you for having decided to join IIM Calcutta's program, postgraduate program, and the fellow program students also. Also, please don't forget the associated responsibility you accepted by joining the IIMC community. So with every decision that you make from today onwards, please think not only of yourself and of your classmates, but also of the folks who would love to be in that seat today. To talk very briefly about IIMC, we have come a long way from the very small beginning, and today it is acknowledged as one of the best institutions not only in the country but also in the Asia Pacific region. We got the accreditation status from top 3 accrediting agencies globally, the AACSB, the AMBA, and the last one that we got is EQ's accreditation. All these accreditations uniquely made us the first business school, Indian business school, to achieve what is known as a triple crown in accreditation. It is accredited by all the 3 major accrediting agencies in the world for management education. I am happy to tell you that very, very few other institutions globally currently hold this triple crown. So it is the only Indian member also of a association called SEMS. The European management schools, that's how we started, but then it becomes sort of a alliance of all the corporates and management schools globally with one member from every country, and we are happy to be the member from India, the Executive Global Alliance of Business Schools. About your batch PGDM, 453 of you have taken admission this year. You will be told about the program, its rigor, its relevance. So I will not spend much time except saying that this curriculum, which has been designed to develop our students into global organizational leaders who can create wealth for their organizations, and you have one such right here in front of you as a demonstration. At the same time, we also ensure that our students have an understanding and appreciation of Indian economic and societal realities. Above all, we aspire to prepare you to be principled organizational leaders with a caring attitude and ethical orientation. We have a center, Management Center for Human Values, precisely because of that. Another unique thing we have in IIM Calcutta, where courses on ethics are being taught from there. The curriculum also provides students an appreciation of all the functional areas of management through a package of compulsory courses, and the opportunity to specialize in one's area of interest through a large number of elective courses. We revise the curriculum periodically after obtaining feedback from alumni, current and potential recruiters, and ideas and suggestions from top management schools in India and abroad. Of course, in the second year, some of you will get the opportunity to go and run through the student exchange program during term 5 of your 6-term stay here, where you will be spending one whole term with a partner school. My dear students, you are here for the chance to learn, to listen, to be heard, and of course to teach. You come here to broaden your horizons, to sharpen your vision, to enlarge your hearts, and to train your minds to untangle problems and confront the challenges before you. You are here to discover that which inspires you, to find what motivates you, and to connect your personal passions to a larger communal interest. You are here to discover new ideas, new ways of working, and new ways of thinking. The institute will offer you all it has, but it depends on how much you can take of it. It's an institution, IIM Calcutta, that is rooted in Indian ethos. We are an institution established by Government of India, therefore the need to respond to the needs of the society at large is paramount also. Please remember that. You all have your own set of dreams. This is the time to let free and chase your dreams. Of course, not forgetting your core mission, that is studies. You may find life ahead very challenging, sleepless nights, for sure. Our faculty colleagues will really put you through endless hours of struggles, I can assure you that. Sleepless nights over assignments and projects, lots of reading, balancing work and family pressures under tough time schedules and appearing for examinations. But it can also be lots of fun to take full advantage of everything student life has to offer. And who knows, you will possibly develop friendship here and which will stay for your whole life, a lifelong friendship which will start from here. We do have an excellent faculty, and I'm sure you will enjoy every single course that we will offer, compulsory and optionals. We have a beautiful campus. I'm sure in whatever time that you are with us already, you have seen so many great lakes. We have kayaking, we have swimming and all these things to enjoy. Of course, the morning walk is something that you should also think seriously if you have time. Education, it is being said, is the most powerful tonic ever created. It is the tonic that can change a single life and in turn move the entire world in new ways. It is a lifetime journey. My dear students, enjoy this phase of your journey. It's a lifetime opportunity for you also. I am sure you will make many new friends and establish new, rewarding and lifelong relationships that will be worth all the hard work. Once again, my very warm welcome and good wishes to you. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful address and those wise words of wisdom. I would also request you to please welcome our chief guest with a small token of our appreciation. I would now like to invite our chief guest to address the students.
Screen is there, but people can see. Very good afternoon. Professor Saibal, Professor Biju, Professor Uttam. It is personally a remarkable privilege, honor, prestige for me to be here this evening addressing all of you. And sure, please. This is the first time I managed to get a professor away from my table. So it is a privilege and an honor. So thank you very much. Thank you IIM Cal. Thank you Professor. And thank you students for being here and inviting me here. I think I can sort of cast my mind back to 31 years ago when I was, unfortunately when the time we came we didn't have such a nice auditorium. But the experience, the butterflies in the stomach, the director's address then scaring us saying, boss, watch out, you have a tough 2 years. I think while time has moved on, the truth is that the core experience stays on. So just as I'm excited, I'm envious of you. You guys are starting out something really special. You guys are starting out something that at this juncture you may not realize how privileged you are to be carrying those 4-letter word password in your life. In your life I'm sure you know many 4-letter words. The more positive ones are luck, love, fate. But I'll tell you the 4-letter word that will take you through life is IIMC. Trust me, the number of doors it will open is just enormous. And you can't believe how privileged you all are to have actually sitting in a place where you have that opportunity. So let me begin with once again congratulating each of you and mentioning how wonderful this opportunity is. When Professor Biju called me about maybe a month ago, saying if I would be happy to come and speak to the students, this is one time I sort of instantly said yes and cleared my diary to be here. To me, IIM Cal is much more than just the campus I went to. It has lifelong meaning, and I said, if there's anything that I can do to be part of this, I said yes, and it didn't take me long to say yes. The only thing is, the last 30 odd days have also been the most excruciating travel that I've had in my entire career, because like the director was mentioning, today the stock market rewarded Federal Bank richly, but it is also coinciding with an important capital raising event the bank is working on. And it meant going around the world talking to investors and presenting the bank's credentials and all the good work we have done or we are set to do. So within that schedule, I had not managed to sit down and craft out what I'm going to tell you guys this afternoon. So over the weekend, that is last Saturday, my colleague at work rang me up and said, listen, this is one area you have to make some preparation, so have you done? So I said, over the weekend I will, and on Sunday when I sat down I asked my wife, what do you think I should tell the students? She said, when we were students, we were a lot dumber, but don't believe that. Today's students, they are really smart, they know a lot more. So be thoughtful in what you say. As always, my wife is very clever, so I said yes, I will consider that. And then I texted my young nieces, who are just about your age, I guess. They both are preparing for their chartered accountants. They write the exam a few months from now. So I said, what do you think I should be saying? And almost immediately I got a response saying, be cool, be conversational, and don't be like an uncle. Right? So now they're armed with this wise thoughts. One side the wife says, be thoughtful. The kids say, be cool, be conversational, don't be unclish. I said, okay, now I got to prepare something nice. So I wrote down a few points, and I sort of will talk to you about that. But before that, before I tell you what the thoughts that I want to leave you with, there's one lasting thought, one lasting memory of this campus for me. The last day, and this is really the last day of our stay here, I think is March 88, if I remember. We were all, bus loads of us were going to the station to take the trains to wherever we came from. And I think the bus or the taxi, one of them was waiting, and there's this very smart young girl in my batch who just didn't want to leave. She was hugging everybody, crying, copious tears, and just refusing to move. and a very responsible guy that I was, I couldn't leave without taking her, because she turned out to be my wife later. That's a separate story. You guys don't get ideas. But the point is not that she's my wife, it is important. But the point is that moment where she could not leave the campus is symbolic of how each of us feel after the 2 years on campus. And I'm sure many batches after me, many batches before me, and many batches after you guys, this is going to happen. Because this 2 years, whatever, like Professor was saying, is just life defining. It just takes you to a place where it's how much you put in, how much you want to take out, how you want to make the best of this, but it just cannot but change your life. And I'm encouraging each of you, as you prepare yourself to be the best of everything, don't lose the essence of what this place has to offer. The walks, the mishtis, the birthday bumps, the friendships, these are lifelong lasting, and I think it's a special one, and I don't believe it's something that can be casually construed as one more. I think it's pivotal, it's central, and it's important. So keep that in the sort of at the core of what you guys are going to do, because you're going to find that this phase of your life is special, and I really, really wish each of you both great fun and great success in doing that. So just moving on, let me just talk to you about some of the thoughts or the themes that over the years of working I've gathered. I've tried to sort of, now with hindsight, trying to synthesize them and trying to draw patterns. I'll just leave you with those, and then we can, if there is time, and if you guys are interested, we can have a Q&A session, if you will. First thing I would say is, do I click here, or I just click, right? See, I'm technologically challenged, I'm not new generation. Yes. First thing I would say is, as the slide says, imagine your castle. And the line I will try and give you there: be there before you get there. Try and be there before you get there and walk back. So if I personally reflect on myself or many of my colleagues, or now colleagues, then classmates and friends of mine from then, people were anchored on something they were possessed by, something they were inspired by, something that they wanted to become. Interestingly, life, universe, if you want something, the universe actually conspires to give you. We may think that these are challenges, but I have seen across life, across time, invariably, if you want something badly, and if you have the heart and the intent for it, somehow the universe conspires to give it to you. And I think the thing about imagining your castle, or sort of being there before you get there, is about having that obsession to get there. Very early, one line that inspired me personally is a movie called Flashdance, which many of you may not have heard. There is this young lady who is wanting to become the dancer and win the national dance competition. She comes from a remote village somewhere in deep Europe. And her only passion in life was to win that national dance competition. And the movie is full of wonderful songs, and there's one line in one song which is just etched in memory: take your passion and make it happen. And I think that line is so true for each of us, irrespective of which line, none of us don't need to be corporate successes. You could be success in any form, in any chosen space, but just make that obsession to get to that point where you are truly an inspiration to yourself. Don't look out, just look within, to get to that point where you're sort of going to make that difference. I mean, if you ask me what was that one inspiration very early, I had no clue what being a CEO was, but I knew I wanted to be one. And I think by some good divine efforts, whatever, I got it quite early in life, and I every day enjoy it, but every day is a challenge. But that apart, the message I'd like to share for each of you guys is just be there before you get there. Imagine your castle and walk back. And then construct your life. Are there going to be challenges? Are there going to be many? Is it going to be one straight road? Impossible. If you've read the book called Zigzag Principle, the first in the cover story, the cover article says, the road to success is never a straight line. All of us know that. But I think the obsession to get to that point will just keep you on the march, will keep you centered, will keep you so obsessed to do that. Moving on, today is really information age. Today is the click of a button you get to know and read, and you're aware of many things, and if you don't know, Google knows. If Google doesn't know, somebody else knows, but there is just an overload of information. And most young officers, most young executives who work in our organizations or wherever I work, sort of are desperately keen to impress the hierarchy of their organization with an overload of content which is just sort of a mountain of data and information. To my mind, that is irrelevant. The sharp intellect that each of you possess, and that's what brought you all here, has to make you incise that data, go right into the 7 levels down, and get the insight. The art of presentation is the simplicity of what you present to your audience. I hope I'm doing that, but that's a separate point. But it's the simplicity of what you can present to your hierarchy of your organization. So I think more than information, I would point to the fact insight is key. So just as each of us are living in a world where access to news, information, data is just easy, not everybody is sufficiently investing in pattern recognition. Not everybody is sufficiently investing in trying to decipher the essence of what is that. Nuance is what allows you to do the innovation. The ability to pick up that one spot which we can do something better. I was very thrilled when I had a chance to walk about the campus this afternoon, and I saw a financial data research lab, analytics lab, and it's remarkably well funded. I think you guys have an enormous opportunity to try and leverage that, not just as an ability to play with numbers, but to get the construct of it. I think one of the professors was mentioning to me how they are doing stuff which is trying to determine probability of default based not on data, based on SMS texts. Now that's the level of analytics that is possible, and I'm sure with artificial intelligence, with the kind of technology that is sort of developing right under our eyes or nose, you're going to find remarkable and deep opportunities to try and distill and get to a point where you're truly an asset to whichever establishment you're going to be part of. And I'm conscious that all of you may not carry the same corporate objectives. Some of you may just want to be some other space which gives you personal satisfaction, but that's just the personal choice. I think the crucial point is how each of you can bring insight to the table. So I would say the second theme, if you will, I will stress on is insight is king. Moving on, how many of you have read or have a sense of what Thomas Friedman said? How many of you? Just 2, 3, okay. Very recently, I don't know how recent, but Thomas Friedman, one thought that I'm plagiarizing here. This is not what exactly he said, but I'm stealing a concept from him about think like an immigrant. And his theory about thinking like an immigrant is that we are in an age of indescribable change, and rate of change is just so enormous. But the essence of what he is trying to say, and which is why I said let's behave like a migrant, is that the adaptability and the paranoid optimist that an immigrant is the characteristics good leaders should possess. Because when you are an immigrant or a migrant, you are invariably, obviously, away from your roots. You are in a place where you're out of your comfort zone. You are in a place where invariably you're scrounging to make that living. The only thing that stays between you and success and you and progress, or you and just survival, is an optimism and yet a fear. So about the paranoid optimist, and therefore I sort of drew from that saying behave like a migrant, which is almost the same thought I want to leave with you. And in your life, in my life, in all our lives, you would have seen so many examples. If you just today went to a salon to cut your hair, and I know I'm the wrong guy to talk about haircuts, but if you went to a salon to cut your hair or to a restaurant to eat, you will find the person cutting the hair or serving the food is invariably not from the geography where you or she is from. The person is from some remote part of the country, distant part of the country, have personally made that choice to move on because it's a career option. But so easily they settle into the new environment. A person from the northeast will suddenly start speaking in Tamil and Malayalam and so many other languages which even the local residents will struggle. So that's the level of adaptability our people are showing, and I think as privileged people who come to these kind of campuses, we must use the opportunity of a life like this in campus to see how this sort of unique position that you enjoy on campus turns you into a lifelong migrant, into a lifelong immigrant, if you will. So that was the third thought I wanted to share with you. The next one would be take chances, back yourself. If you all know the bumblebee, I'm sure many of you, all of you know the bumblebee. You know, according to the laws of aerodynamics, the wingspan of the bumblebee is not wide enough, and therefore it cannot fly. According to the laws of aerodynamics, the wingspan of the bumblebee is not wide enough, therefore it cannot fly. But the great thing is, bumblebee doesn't know aerodynamics, doesn't know physics. It flaps its wing and it flies. And I often say, in whatever session I am having a chance to speak to people, is about each of us have a bumblebee moment in life. And that's because of our extreme self-belief, our desire to take that one chance which can just define our future. And I am sure many of you got here and you had, at various crossroads, you had to take that call, this way or that. And for sure you made the right call because you are in the right place. But that backing yourself, building your self-confidence, taking those chances are going to be a lifelong characteristic. And in my batch, I very often quote one of our guys who was he was a maverick. I mean, he had just enormous energy, enormous enthusiasm, could do stuff that most of us would thought were weird. But he at all points proved everybody wrong and just kept doing one after the other. Today he's doing a remarkable job in a large, in Google in San Francisco. He's like a global evangelist for them. He's a Burning Man participant. He's an author of a book. He's a yoga guru. I can't even describe the things he's not. And when he was on campus, many of us thought, who's this guy, mad guy, what's he up to? You know, what's he trying to show off? But he had this deep desire, both my first point about being passionate, and the second point is just never ever backing off when the most complex of situations was present, because he said, I'm going to take those chances. In fact, a fortnight ago when I met him, the same guy who's done quite well, he said, I think maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, he had lost his job in his earlier role. He said on the same weekend, or rather over the weekend, he had lost his job and he separated from his lifelong partner. And he said, in 1 week I thought my life had collapsed. But the same weekend he told himself, I am going to be materially different. I'm not going to sort of let this pull me down. I am going to be the person I want to be, and I'm going to take those chances. And you know, when I went to see him this 2-3 weeks back, he was just the same full life, doing everything I said. Burning Man, he's a stand-up comic, he's a Toastmaster, he's a public speaker. You can Google him. He's Gopi Kalail. He's a sitar player. He's cut albums, and this is the kind of energy. And I'm sure in your groups, maybe all 400 or plus of you, or a few of you are going to do all these completely wacko stuff, or what appears wacko, but I'm sure for the person who is doing it, it's going to be special. But the message is, take your chances. And another point which linked to this, I encourage, and this is just my own personal experience. Of course, I've been privileged to have a classmate as a partner, so it helps that we share enormous personal experiences together. But I think the message I'd like to share with each of you is, find a sparring partner. Find somebody amongst this group who's not necessarily your best buddy, but who can dispassionately tell you once a month, once a quarter, once a year, whatever frequency you agree, that listen pal, you're completely off what you want to be. Ask somebody to be have that transparent, honest conversation with the other person, to be your mirror, and challenge you as often as you wish to, and equally you could do the reverse to that person, and challenge you to say, listen, hey, you want to be this, and this is what you think the world is looking at you, but you know what, it's like quite different. Have that honest conversation, have the courage to have that conversation with that person, and make that a very personal, sincere relationship. And I think between taking chances, backing yourself, and finding a sparring partner, to my mind, that's a very formidable combination, because as the bets you're taking, you're also validating it, and you're also ensuring that you're getting the kind of fairly honest feedback for somebody who's seen you as a peer just as you start your life, campus life. It's difficult. Once you get to work, then there are competitive pressures. But once you're in campus, when all airs are off, your social background is less relevant, your financial background is less relevant, you're all in the same old hostel, new hostel, I don't know what the hostels are called now, you're just sharing rooms or neighboring rooms. You will find this richly rewarding experience, and I share from my own personal experience. If you think I'm going to speak much longer, no, I just have 2-3 more points and I will sort of bring it to a close. I spoke about, take chances, back yourself. Let me just talk about another theme of mine, which I have more recent years come to believe in. In the course of your life already and in the years ahead, for sure, every management session you're going to sit, or every management speak you hear, or every time you Google, you're going to hear two things. Be a lifelong learner. And everybody is going to tell you that learning is never ending, it's a lifelong learner. And I too was tempted to do that, only that I made a minor departure and said, the toss-up was between saying be a lifelong learner or saying learn to listen. I gave learn to listen a vote personally, and that's what I would ask you to look at. There's this cacophony of noise, right? There's noise all around, in physical noise, data noise, you pick any kind of noise theory is there. All of us are infested with information and noise, but are we actively listening? And personally, as you go up the chain in your organization, and most Indian organizations are unfortunately very hierarchical. If you go 3 levels above the ground, you're completely cut off, you don't know what's happening on the ground. And you believe all your decisions are actually being received well, or being understood, or being taken for the right reasons, and all of it could be true. But unfortunately, you don't have the ground feel. Now, when I say learn to listen, it doesn't mean that you have to actively sit down and have a chat. That's a great way. But the technology has democratized flow of information today. Between the MD of an organization and 7 levels down, you could have an institutional hierarchy, but there is no information hierarchy. Somebody posts a WhatsApp, somebody posts it on some social media, it floats up the organization. So the ability, in our bank over the years, we've created our internal blog, and to me it's a remarkable source of what's happening on the ground. More than my HR manager, more than my mid-level manager, I look at the blog every day. These two guys will have a problem now, they will stop blogging. But it just helps me understand what's the ground story. Where are the murmurs? And I think you could pick it for any part of your professional life, and you'll find that in addition to being lifelong learners, which we have no choice, because as time passes, nobody is going to be able to keep pace with everything that we learn. What you guys learn today is content is one, but I think what you're learning is how to learn, how to stay abreast all the time. That's what is the bigger learning. It's not what you're going to pick up in your classes. That is relevant, but that's relevant only for the period in time that it's applicable. Relevance, like Jack Welch very famously said, if the rate of change outside is greater than the rate of change inside, the end is near. Right? And somebody like Jack Welch, you just accepted. If the rate of change is outside is higher than the rate of change inside, the end is near, which is true. So it's not about what you learn, But how do you learn and how do you architecturally keep that as a learning framework for yourself is important. So I think in that context is why I brought about learn to listen. We're almost getting there. I spoke about taking those chances, the zigzag principle, the inability for lifelines to be straight. You're going to face enormous challenges. I think the paranoid optimist that we spoke quite earlier about, Thomas Friedman said, is about staying inspired through the troughs. We are going to get enough bouncers, googlies that are going to be thrown at us at all points of time. Personally, through my career, through many of careers that you will encounter, it's never going to be when everything is fine. Invariably, you will think you're doing a great job, but your boss will not think you're doing a great job. Your institution won't think you're doing a great job. Just going to go home and feel like burying your head in the pillow and saying, why me? But it's going to happen. You cannot escape. But how do you keep yourself excited through that phase, staying optimistic and saying, you know what, nothing can put me down. That's the backing yourself story. So I would say being inspired and optimistic, if there's one thing that you will take away from all that I'm trying to say, is that could be a characteristic that your 2 years here is good, because like Professor was saying, your courses are going to be demanding, you may not have the time to sleep, is what he was saying, it's probably true, right? And there are days when those who don't have I don't know, many of you guys are engineers from here? In my time, I don't think we were as many. I was, but my wife now and then my girlfriend, whatever, she was not an engineer. And I remember the first 6 months for her, statistics and the courses that went with it were nightmare. Even today, if you mention Professor Ramu, there's like shudder at home, right? Because and we met him. He is retired and I've settled and we met him. And I still sort of worship him because we were nervous about the fact that he knew everything we didn't know. Right? So I'm sure you guys will face this. Some of you are, I don't know how many of you have worked before, how many of you are first time on campus. There are striking differences. And many who have worked for even 1 year will try to tell the ones who have not worked that they're like a big shot. I've seen it all. And I didn't. I had worked for 2 years and I was telling Professor that my wife was the youngest in the batch. I was probably the oldest in the batch, so I almost acted like I knew everything. I've been there, only to realize that it's all bullshit. We didn't know anything. And so some of my young friends who think you worked and you know it all, watch out. Somebody will wake you up. So stay inspired through the troughs. And the very last point, you've seen it all. You guys have read about VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. I'm sure you have, right? Right? You know the VUCA world. No? Yes or no? No. Professor, why are they quiet? Right? So yeah, the volatility is a reality. The situation that the world that we're dealing with is real. But the good news is the same thing as the bad news. The volatility is invariably not for one individual. It's an institutional environment thing. It's for the environment. You know, it's not Shyam Srinivasan or X or Y or Z is being served that unpleasant environment and therefore you're dealing with it alone. It's an ecosystem. If India's banking system is going through a chaotic period of high NPAs, it's not just one bank, it's many. Can an institution or can an individual find ways that make you different and better? That victory is sweeter. I can, with some pride and maybe a touch of arrogance, tell you, a bank like ours is not a natural winner. People didn't think a Federal Bank is going to be the toast of Indian financial industry because we are not the most known names. If I poll this room, maybe 20% of you will know something about us, right? But this financial year or this calendar year, take any stock of any bank, any institution, if there's one stock that has done 75% growth through this volatile period, then somebody is giving a thumbs up because this company has had the ability to withstand and deal with bouncers and googlies because of efforts that happened over a period of time. It didn't happen just this morning. And I think the victory is that much sweeter. So I'll end with the last one story and then we can chat if you guys want to. You know, many of you are going to start out your careers, you'll be working in FMCG companies and banks, invariably there will be some sales guy Unfortunately, the sales guy's life is tough, particularly if he's selling a vacuum cleaner or some kind of a machine on a hot day somewhere. He's going to have a tough time because his boss is going to tell him by the evening, come and show me your sales result. So one of these young guys who had done a great job has worked through the market for the full long hot day and has done nothing and has no money in his pocket. So he's like really hungry and he's looking around and he sees a restaurant which says, eat and drink as much as you want. Your grandson will pay the bill. And he's saying, wow, this is like special. I don't have money, I'm hungry, there's a restaurant which is going to allow me to eat. So he goes in, has a hearty meal, the waiter comes and gives him a bill, which says, he says, why am I paying now? So this is for your grandfather. You guys get it? So all of us, you, me, whoever, our past catches up. So as young, smart, bright professionals who are setting out, these 2 years will define who is the grandfather, who is the grandson, which bill you are paying. So I encourage all of you to have a remarkable, and by now I'm sure many of you are smart, you would have figured out what I was trying to say. Because like I was telling Professor, this is IIMC LIB, which is IIMC 54, which is your badge. Right? I think I am quite sure you'll forget everything I said, and rightfully so, because next 2 years you'll get about 100 better speakers. But you will not forget the badge you're wearing, which is IIMC 54. You cannot. It's now your identity. All your life you are IIMC 54. Even when you're like 70 years old, it's IIMC 54. So I do hope your passport to success, you remember some part of what I said, and importantly, you have a wonderful career, and you succeed like mad. And the next set of Raghuram Rajans, Indra Nui, and whoever, Amit Tripathi, Hamish Tripathi, whatever, come from this batch. God bless all of you. And Professor, thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, sir, for sharing those interesting anecdotes. And I think everyone would agree with me if I say that you did not speak like an uncle. Thank you for enlightening us on how to sail through our journey, not just inside, but also when we step outside this campus. And I'm sure the students are dying to learn more from you through their queries. So I would like to declare the platform open for a round of Q&A.
Good afternoon, sir. I would like to ask, this may not be exactly relevant, but what would you recommend that we read right now? Like any books that have particularly inspired you, or anything that you have read recently which you would like to share?
My reading right now is some of the technical stuff. Unfortunately, Indian banking, the rate of change of rules is quite obnoxious. So we are spending time reading about GST implication on SME customers in Indian banking and what is going to happen. So I must confess the very recent reading has not been remarkable, but I am an avid flight reader, so I do try to catch up on one or the other every now and then, and that's the time I get. I did mention, the zigzag principle is a book that I read recently, that's why it was fresh in my mind. I stay away from bestsellers. I don't, I'm not a bestseller, but we do have a crazy collection of books at home. Let me let you into a secret, I'm an obsessive cricket fan. Obsessive is an understatement. So my wife says if there's a cricket match which is a 4th replay, which the results are very well known, still my husband will sit and watch every ball of that game. So I have this, therefore, a need to keep myself fresh reading any crap that is written on cricket. I read books that are written in 1940 and 50. So I'm not the best example, but I'd only say I sense, and I hope I'm wrong, the reading habit is a fast diminishing capability. If it's not more than one WhatsApp screen, I don't see people reading. My request to you, don't fall prey to that. Please find ways to squeeze in reading in whatever form. Kindle, not Kindle, whatever. Let it not just be one WhatsApp page. So I don't know if I helped, but yeah.
Hello sir, and thank you so much for your inspiring interest. You mentioned about walking the castle and then coming back. So when you were in campus, what did your castle look like?
It was dilapidated. So I think I mentioned, well, I did not, like all of us, I don't think I had this picture of a castle, but I knew that I had this obsession that I have to be a business leader. I don't know if CEO is the right word then, but I had this crazy obsession I have to be a business leader. As an engineer, in '84 when I finished, 90% of my batch gave the traditional GRE and said we must go to the US. I don't know what wisdom or confidence, I don't know which one. I said I'm not going to do that, I'm going to give the CAT. I didn't get CAT the first year. I was waiting list 73. They stopped at 72. I swear. Mali was 72, I was 73. He got it, I didn't get it. So I told myself, whatever happens next year, I'm getting it. Right? So I didn't get it, I am the same thing with Citibank. Out of this campus, I had already got my Wipro project. And so the Wipro had offered me the job. My desire was Citibank. They called me for the final interview, called me to Bombay for the final interview, me and I think 4 of us. First time we were taking a flight, all of us were excited. We went to Mumbai, we gave a nice interview. First suit, went, came again. Out of the 5, they gave only 2 and not me. Again, I said no. Next year, they called me and gave me the job. So I think the kick of creating that obsession was, it has to happen, we will get it. And the dream was to be the CEO. Thankfully, by some divine support, I did get it way earlier than many others. So the castle was that CEO. I'm sure you guys will have your own castles to build. But when I joined Federal, some of my colleagues may remember, on December 10th, 2010, it was my first sort of large team meeting, we put out a slide and we said then, we're tossing 1 million bricks in the air, we must make sure they land and form a castle and they don't crack. I think the 1 million bricks are slowly falling in and I hope it doesn't break and I hope the castle comes up soon. Yeah.
Thank you so much sir.
So, how do you manage your time and you being so busy? Do you still involve in extracurricular activities, playing any sport?
Don't look like I play sport, do I? No, I think a little, I'm not going to trivialize it, but I think this thing about no time and I can't find personal time is all bullshit. Right? If you want it, you will find it. And I genuinely believe if you're quite excited with what you do, then you won't even make that complaint. My advice, this work-life balance, I don't forget it. I know I may be unpopular saying it, but just forget it. Immerse yourself and you won't find it as work. Then work and life are already balanced. So I don't have much of an issue on that. Yes, my wife and family may complain, but I am not complaining. So I am okay. I told you, you can ask my colleagues, as I'm working, some TV will be running with cricket. It doesn't mean I'm not working, but I can watch that also. Of course, I've become CEO, so I have the luxury of a TV in the office. You may not have that. But don't get fussed by this work-life balance and all that. You guys are too young to worry about it. Just immerse. Just be obsessive. And then the work becomes life, life becomes work. I know I'm not famous saying this, but that's me.
Good evening, sir. Sir, it was a pleasure listening to you. Sir, you mentioned about artificial intelligence and how everywhere it's written that it's going to lead to loss of jobs in the future. So, as future managers, so how imperative do you think it is for us to stay in touch with the data interpretation, data analysis techniques and artificial intelligence? And how is it going to affect the banking industry in the future?
I think the thing about loss of jobs may not be entirely right. The loss may be in the nature of jobs. Certain jobs that can be done more intellectually by, or something which is very moronic, routine, will be probably machine run. This same line, I remember the first time I encountered a computer numerically controlled lathe was in '84 out of my engineering. And I remember a factory strike, a factory called Lucas TVS. They said this evil company is bringing in CNC machines and it will take away jobs of everybody. And then, we are now in 2017, Lucas is doing well, factories are doing well, CNC machines are also doing well. So to some extent it's a little exaggerated, but the nature of jobs, because of technology and intensive analytics and using 3D printing, 4D printing, 1D, 5D printing will certainly change. But remember, to construct that you need mindsets and jobs. And then there will be leadership hierarchy. So I think to some extent, in my mind, job profile will change. And for sure people like you in this audience, who are certainly enlightened and privileged, you will only have the privilege of leading these kind of institutions, provided you are keeping up to the Jones. In banking in specific, our own bank, 5 processes we have taken and we are doing STP, a straight through, using AI. Now we are working on various levels of projects that are helping, for one, automating so that hand touch is not there, so the error rates are lower, straight through so it's faster, the human intervention being lower, therefore the interpretation of I think of it one way, you think of it another way, and bill discounting is improving. But this is all evolving, right? If you take a 5-year view, at least internally we discuss in the bank, 5 or 10 years, much will change. Those of you who have read Road Ahead by Bill Gates, if you talk of one person in the world as a visionary, you must say it's Bill Gates. 23 years back when he wrote Road Ahead, he wrote saying, banking is important, banks are not. Look at the vision of the man. 23 years back or 25 years back when he wrote the book, he said banking is important, not banks. And he's bloody right. Today robots, AI, whatever, and that, in 10, 12 years it may change. So construct of jobs may change, quantum could change, but leadership, people who can decipher information into insight will succeed. And I truly hope and believe that this kind of an audience is that who have that smarts to carve out and do better. So you guys are in a good place. Yeah?
Good afternoon, sir. In the center. So, if you get a chance to study at IIMC again, what things you want to change or do differently?
You won't tell my wife? No, I'll tell you 2 things, and I did expect a question like this. I'll tell you 2 things I would do. I told you I had worked for 2 years and I thought I was knew it all, right? I'll first tell myself you don't know anything. I promise. The second, while I'm giving you big bhashan to be a good learner and listen and all, I don't think I did well enough on campus on that count. I did not spend time, even today my Hindi is pathetic. I'm a TAM. So Hindi is shabby. I'm not a natural language learner. I should have done that. Because of my cricket obsession, I ignored things like football and tennis and some of the extracurricular that others actively did. I did not do mountain climbing and marathoning. I should have done that. So I think the facet of mine which I did not discover, I certainly would have done. But now I'm maybe physically not that good enough to do. I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm physically not that good enough to do it. And I would say, any of you, don't give it up. I think it's such a privilege to be in this campus to do that. I encourage everybody to just dig deep into everything. So that's what I would do differently.
Thank you. One more question to come. So, what is the future of fintech industry according to you?
Bright, very bright. In our bank, we've set up a fund only for supporting such initiatives and many other institutions. But that said, the rate of failure is also increasing, only understandably, because there are now more and more people who think it's easy prey and just running after it. But as a concept, fintech is what, that young man asked me about AI and a few others did. It's just changing. Fintech is just mind-blowing. Personally, I'm a big fan of it. Our bank is investing a fund, which is the first bank to set up a fund only for this. And I think there's remarkable opportunity, and the brightest ideas that come are just mind-blowing. We have something called a launch pad, which is a center for getting, one of you could come with a bright idea and say, I want to do something. We give them a space, we give them a Wi-Fi enabled space, we give them a desk, we give them a registration capability, whatever they want. And if they come with some bright idea, we may make them a customer or a vendor. And very often, if I have time, I go and sit with them to just pick what ideas come. It's just mind-blowing. All ideas that are coming are fascinating. Unfortunately, all ideas don't turn out into effective outcomes. And the burn rate, the loss rate is very high. But fintech is going to do well to support industry. What happens to the creator is his individual luck and effort.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Sir, you mentioned that you are from engineering background with 2 years of work. I just wanted to ask you that how and when did you find out that finance and banking is your passion and field of interest?
I realize I'm not a good engineer, so No, I think, each of us have our own drivers, right? I have this uncle of mine who's also from IIM Calcutta. Unfortunately, he passed away recently, God bless his soul. I was inspired by everything he did. He had finished, he's IIT Chennai, IIM Cal, so he was like a complete role model for me. Cool. He had done everything that I ever wanted to do. So he became a very senior banker. He was 14, 15 batches senior to me. So I said I must just copy my uncle. And that's why from engineering I said IIM. That's why I told you first year I didn't get. So I said whatever happens I'm going to crack it the second year. So yeah, it's one madness. And it's also maybe because I was not very enamored by being in a shop floor. That's the truth. Don't tell anybody else, but that's the truth. If you tell my colleagues at work, they won't believe it.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for your inspiring words. I have 2 questions. One, in your journey of being such a successful leader, did you ever feel that your personal life get affected, and did it affect you negatively, positively, and did it affect your work in any way? If there were any troubles or anything of that
I
sort?
mean, there are times when you sort of feel like you're not cutting it and it's tough. But I'll tell you, I must admit that I'm a privileged soul. I have not had any extreme instance of having to face a challenge of that nature and make a trade-off. And it helps that your life partner is of a similar profile, so understands the choices you're making. So I'm not the best example. But have I had challenges? Yes. Have I felt down saying, my boss doesn't understand what the hell, he's not from IIM, I am from IIM, he doesn't have anything, he's after all some LIBA MBA, what the hell does he know? Of course I felt that, right? It happens. I mean, if I tell you it didn't happen, I like, right? But I think on balance, these things sort out. If you take a larger time snap, it becomes almost irrelevant. I've had times since, when after campus I went to Wipro and then I told you I went to City. And because I had worked and I missed 1 year of getting into City, I felt like I was one level junior. So I told myself, again, this madness to be ahead, right? So when my boss didn't make me AVP as fast as the other guy, I was furious. So I told Maya that, listen, these guys don't understand my value and so on and so forth, but I told you, sparring partner. And that's what she said. She said, you wanted it madly, shut up and do it. And thankfully, that wise advice I stuck on. So, yeah. So the point is, you will get these googlies and you got to deal with it. It is easy for me to say now. When it was happening, it was not easy, as it will not be for any of you. But you need to have that resilience and that endurance capability, which is what I think campus should build us. Right? Some of the mess food is never good. I don't know how it is now. I actually became mess secretary for a while just to clean up the food. Ibrahim was there. Was Ibrahim, is he there? So Ibrahim used to be there. In fact, when I came last, I saw Ibrahim.
Thank you. And the next question.
And Maggie was 5 rupees, very expensive. It was very expensive. You guys don't know.
The next question is like, what does your castle look like right now? Like,
Brilliant question. If I tell you, I'm part of a stock market, a company which is stock market sensitive. Every statement of the MD will have a share price impact. So offline I can tell you, but officially I can't tell you. But yes, we want to build something special. We are committing to be India's most admired, digitally enabled, small, medium and micro establishment bank. That's my castle.
Very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So, since the time I converted this call, and every person, every junior, every senior I meet, since the time I'm on campus, every person has been telling me it's going to be hell. It is. It's going to be real bad. And even the person whose only interaction with IIM is through that Two States movie, even those people are telling me it is like they're going to make a life hell. So, was there a similar hype during your time as well? Or is it hype or overhype?
Honest answer, a little overhype. Right? A Two States movie had a good side also, don't forget. We had a ball. So don't worry, you'll have a good time. I mean, see, you're all in my mind, and I'm not trying to sound unclish. This lady said I sound unclish. You can have a party and work. As they say, learn to chew gum and walk at the same time. And you can. Many of you must be early 20s, right? This is, what the hell, the adrenaline must be pumping like mad now. Just go. I don't think it's an issue. Yes, from what Prof says now, it's a lot more hard work. And it must be, because it's very competitive, right? I mean, you're being groomed not for succeeding here, you're grooming to succeed in this big bad world which you will be entering in 24 months or less. But I must tell you, you guys are really blessed because I am the optimist that I am. I think 2019 the job market will be fantastic in India. And you're blessed to be in a campus now and not looking for a job now. So, get ready.
So, here, in the front, here.
Yep, go ahead.
The question is, so over here, in the front.
Why don't you stand up? I'm blind. There, that's not front, Maya. That's like back. My perspective is changing.
It appears you enjoyed your life here and also found your life partner here. Any tips on that?
I charge consultancy. No, I think you will meet your match. Don't worry. If it's any, I don't know. I read day before or 3-4 days back in Times of India, this batch has the highest number of girls. Right? So, in my batch, professor was asking me, we were 140 people and 130 guys. And the 10 girls, 4 of them married their batchmates. So good luck to you guys.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have a question about one of the I's, which was inspiration, getting inspired during the time of down. So, sir, how do you do it personally?
I don't know if there's a formula or a magical answer, but it's a lot of conversation with yourself. I didn't speak about that. I only talk about conversation with a partner or a sparring partner. Through my personal journey, I have found the toughest conversations are the ones you have in front of your mirror. You can't be dishonest to yourself. Can you? You look bad, you look good, you feel bad, you don't feel bad. You know, you can't be dishonest. So I think the more conversations you have with yourself and are able to center yourself. Now again, I caveat everything. It's easier for me to sit and give this bhashan because I have crossed over a few of that. Do I have problems today? Of course I will have. When I sit with my board, I'll have challenges. This is part of life. So I'm not trying to tell you that I've solved everything. But to stay inspired needs to have that deep insight into yourself and believe and back yourself. You've got to crack it. Most of us, and I'm 100% sure, if you're in this room today, you've cracked so many odds. The professor was telling me 200,000 people write IIM now. Maximum 2,500, 3,000 people clear of all. And you guys are in the premium institute. So 460 out of 2 lakh, the odds are in favor of you. So you are definitely of a caliber that has already cleared a fair amount of hurdles. Yes, amongst you there will be better and worse. That's part of life. But, so have the extreme self-confidence and faith. And I can't believe that you won't crack your odds. You will. So that's what I would say.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
I actually have 3 questions.
Oh.
The first one being, in FIN, what is the most rewarding part of your day?
In
finance, as in banking, what is the most rewarding part of your day?
Of the day? See, the last 3-4 years for all bankers have been quite nightmarish from a credit quality of the industry. So and we have, with the evolution of technology and social media and WhatsApp groups and whatever, we've created, maybe like 50 WhatsApp groups I'm part of, in our own bank. So I am an avid watcher of what's happening in all these things. I like to be plugged in. So when I see messages like some remote branch in some remote part of the country has actually cleared an NPA, it gives me a big jolly. Right? It may sound silly, but I get excited by the fact that a 10 lakh loan got cleared and the payment fully came in. And so it's the simple things like daily somebody would send a message saying, sir, I got this 1 crore credit approval done. It's these things that are greater fun than going out and saying we've changed the world, because these things have P&L implication. So as you can tell, I have a daily bias to daily positive credit growth or lack of NPA kind of information is a big high. And people like Reggie, our zonal head, get badgered by me every few hours saying what's happening. So that's what I want.
Thank you. The second question is, if not banking, what else would you have done with your life?
I told you I'm a cricket fan, right? I at one stage thought I am the best and nobody else can beat me. Even I was the captain of IIM cricket team. But this is a hypothetical answer. I would have played more cricket. I don't know successfully, but I would have played.
The last question is, what impact would cryptocurrency have on the banking industry?
To be honest, I don't have a very defined view because it's evolving. It can certainly create some form of disruption, but the regulators are not looking at it very kindly, and therefore it may not have the same future as it is made out from a technical capability point of view, but then it could be ahead of its time. So in passage of time it can, but it's too early to call. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We should.
Good evening, sir. I just have one question. In the years that you've graduated and throughout your experience, have you developed a kind of a leadership philosophy that you would like to share? How do you inspire and encourage your peers as well as the ones you lead?
I thought I did that for the last 45 years. No, I think the one thing that I try hard, and I don't know if I do it successfully, is I genuinely believe communication, up, down, horizontal, 8 levels below, 14 levels above, all needs to be all the time going on and transparently. So I make a genuine effort of reaching out, whether it's a new, nobody joins Federal Bank and in the first 30 days I would have met them. There's not an employee of the bank in the last 7 years who's joined without me meeting them. It doesn't mean one-on-one, I meet them in a group like this or in some groups. But I like to make sure that the message to them reaches directly from me. So I don't know if that's a way to communicate, but I do that. I told you we have so many WhatsApp groups to reach people, so many email groups, so many town halls. We do what we call a big call. Every 8 times a year, which means every 45 days, every employee, all 11,500 employees dial in when I speak to every employee. So we have all these channels of communication open. But unfortunately, I must say, what we deliver and the other man receives need not be what you think it is. And that I have not been able to crack. And I struggle very hard how to get to the point where the sort of rubber meets the road or the last mile, as they say. And we haven't done that, but I think it's a journey. But if you ask me, I try to be quite obsessive about communication. If you want more, whether I'm effective, ask my colleagues here offline.
So, good evening. My name is Tarun. So, you're a big fan of cricket, you've said. Is there something that you've learned out of cricket which you've used in your work life? Can you mention some of them which will be helpful for us?
Absolutely. There's one man called Rahul Dravid. I am an unabashed fan. If I see him now, I'll freeze. I'll tell you why. I mean, that's the characteristics I love most. You're up against odds, you want to fight it, you're not naturally blessed with extraordinary talent like our dear friend Tendulkar is, and he has proven everything is possible. So if there's one thing, I like people who grind their way up. I like people who, sort of want to make it whatever the odds. Or today, the Kohlis of the world, right? Just that crazy obsession to win and to work your way up, and not just because you're divine blessed with great talent. So if there's a script that I would like to follow, is the Dravids of the world. He just is to me, I met him in the Bangalore airport about 3-4 weeks. I just put my luggage down and I said, listen, I have to speak to you. So yeah, I'm just, I think that's something that I really appreciate. People who are fighting odds, people who want to make that, and how many times when the chips were down, he went up. Maybe your generation is not a Dravid generation, but certainly mine is.
Thank you, sir. In fact, you answered my second question, which is going to be who's your favorite cricketer. And so, if it's not too much to ask for, can I just get a selfie with you right now? Is that okay? Yeah?
You will find a smarter person, but I'm happy to do that.
Awesome.
We'll do it after that, otherwise we'll disturb the meeting.
I regret to interrupt this wonderful session, but unfortunately we have time for only one more question.
Good man.
So as a leading corporate figure, can you please comment on the performance of the central government in general and vis-a-vis the banking sector?
Is this in camera? Is this out camera? I think it's not for me to appropriate to comment on them, but I think the level from a banking perspective, the recognition of the problem, the infrastructure, regulatory framework that is being drawn up is commendable. I was on air today, now saying the same thing. I'm not saying anything which I'm nervous about. But the challenge in Indian banking system is the problem is a lot deeper than it is being understood. And it is not a creation of the bankers, it is a creation of the ecosystem. And unfortunately the public sector banks have been at the heart and center of it by the nature of who they have been and what they are required to be. So you're going to see a while before it clears up. But to help that, I think a lot of regulatory framework and repair work is going on. Timelines of success is going to be a very tough call because there are some hard commercial calls that have to be taken. Soon it may be election time. So those are the decisions that India is going to suffer from. But I think the infrastructure is getting there. The regulatory infrastructure is getting there. Okay?
Now I request the Dean Academic to present a small token of gratitude to our Chief Guest. Now the Dean will present his vote of thanks. Please, sir. Now I'd like to welcome the Dean to present his vote of thanks.
Chief guest for the day, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, the Director, Professor Saibal Chattopadhyay, the Dean and IR, Professor Uttam Sarkar, my faculty colleagues, Praveen, President of the Student Council and members of the Student Council, and of course the 54th batch of students. Let me also at the very outset welcome all of you to this campus and to this program. It's wonderful to see you here. The academic year officially begins with the Freshers' Welcome, and it always ends with the convocation. And the Freshers' Welcome is, of course, always a very, it's an event that is that gives us a lot of pleasure, essentially because it reminds us of what we are here for. It's always a new batch of students coming in, and another year of teaching, learning together that excites us as faculty and as an institute. So thank you for choosing us, and welcome once again to the campus. Let me straight away go into my task, first of all, by thanking Mr. Srinivasan for that wonderful session. It is remarkable. About a month or so ago, I contacted him and asked him whether he could come and deliver this talk at the Freshers' Welcome, and he immediately agreed. He said, of course I would be delighted to come, and as he said, it shows the commitment and the passion that he has for the Institute and all the work that we do. So thank you, Mr. Srinivasan, for the wonderful session. And let me big round of applause for the session today. The Freshers' Welcome was not always like this, in the sense that earlier, about 15, 20 years ago, we used to have sessions where the students would be there and we would have chairpersons who would be sitting here and telling students what they should and shouldn't be doing. We changed the format of the Freshers' Welcome about 10 years ago, and that was when we decided that we would bring in successful alumni to talk to the students so that they could give them a sense of what to expect and a sense of what they should be doing in the 2 years that are there. And we changed it really because we realized that there were so many successful alumni out there who had by then become CEOs, and there were so many that we could choose from. And today morning I was sitting down and thinking about how many alumni we have who are CEOs, and I realized that over a period of time there is almost nothing that you do in your daily life where an IIMCN is actually not involved in. So actually today morning I listed down something that you could do from morning to evening where an IIMCN is involved. So please bear with me with this. So if you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth with Colgate toothpaste, the chairman of Colgate Palmolive and the head of Asia Pacific, Vinod Nambiar, is an alumnus. If you drink a cup of tea, the chairman of the tea board, Prabhat Vyas Barua, is an alumnus of the institute. If you dress in a Mafatlal suit, or your clothes are made by Mafatlal, the CEO of Mafatlal, Andrew Deshmukh, is a CEO of IIMC. If you drive to your office in a car made by Nissan, then the head of Nissan India, Arun Malhotra, is an alumnus of the institute. If the car is made of Tata Steel, then the chairman of Tata Steel, T.V. Narendran, is an alumnus, and incidentally our relationship with the Tatas are much deeper than that. When Mr. Chandrasekharan made 3 top appointments to the Tatas recently, 2 of them were IIMC alumni. The current CFO of the Tatas, Saurabh Agarwal, and Ankur Varma, who has been chosen as the senior vice president, both of them are alumni of the institute. If driving to the office or while you're in office you make a call on Vodafone, then Sunil Sood, who is CEO of Vodafone, is an alumni of the institute. If you make it on Airtel, the head of Airtel Gopal Mittal is also an alumnus of the Institute. If you drink Pepsi during the day, then Indra Nui, of course, is well known as an alumnus of the Institute, but what is not so well known is the head of Pepsi India. D. Shivakumar is also an alumnus of the Institute. If you want to restructure your company and you seek advice, then the MD of Bain and Company, Srivatsan Rajan, is the CEO. If you trade on the stock exchange, or if you look at how your company does on the stock exchange, as I'm sure Mr. Srinivasan has been doing, then Ashish Chauhan, who is the MD and CEO of the Bombay Stock Exchange, is an alumnus. If you want funds for investment, of course, Mr. Srinivasan, I'm sure would be happy to give you the funds provided your credit rating is very good. If at the end of a long day of work you go back and you read fiction, then Amish Tripathi, as you mentioned, is an alumnus. If you read non-fiction, Ramachandra Guha, the historian and also a well-known commentator on cricket, Ramachandra Guha is an FP alumni. And if at the end of a long day you decide to relax by having a cup of whiskey, then Anand Kripalu, who is MD of United Spirits, is also an alumnus of the Institute. So as you can see, there is this old slogan from, I think it was SAIL, that said that there is a bit of SAIL in everybody's life. There is a bit of IIMC in everybody's life, in the life of every Indian as well. Is what is most remarkable. Now, why did I read out this long list at the end of a long day? It's to tell you that there is a great responsibility that rests upon you. It is incumbent upon you to make the best use of the opportunities that you have. You have 2 years here. The 2 years will fly off very fast. And before you know it, you will be in the first Saturday of April in 2019 when you will have your convocation. So make the best use of the time that you have. And I wish you all the best in the 2 years that you spend here. I must also take this opportunity to thank many of the others who made both the Freshers' Welcome and this entire orientation week possible, because the Freshers' Welcome is just the last formal event of this orientation week. The director, the dean, NIER, and the chairpersons of the various committees have contributed quite a lot. So thank you for all the help that you have provided. To the staff of the PGP office and the staff of the other departments, I know they have worked for over a month to ensure that the orientation week went off very smoothly. So thanks to all the staff, to all the faculty who took sessions, who contributed sessions and so on. My thanks to all of them. And of course to the Student Council, Praveen is here and other members of the Student Council are here. So thanks to you for all the work that you have put in to ensure that the students are well settled in. With that, let me once again thank all of you for being present here and wish you a very happy and productive 2 years ahead here in IIM Calcutta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for those inspiring words. Now, as part of the conclusion, I would like to request you all to proceed to the ground floor of new academic building for your high tea. Thank you.